In terms of the duration of the universe, 11 years is not a long time. It is only a small part of the age of the universe. But for humans, it is a long process. Because so far, humans have only been born for millions of years. If we convert the history of the evolution of the Earth into 24 hours, then we can be sure that the history of human civilization can almost be ignored. If humans can continue to live happily, what will happen to the Earth and humans 11 years later? 10,000 years later, humans and machines on Earth will be integrated completely. Society will no longer distinguish between natural people and modifiers. Consciousness upload becomes the norm. Digital people have a legal status. 30,000 years later, the Moon and Mars cities begin to be independent. The first generation of solar culture was born. Earthmen, Martians, and lunar citizens began to show obvious systems and values. The United Nations of the Earth was regrouped into the Solar Federation. 80,000 years later, the Earth will welcome a new ice age. Large-scale projects launch a global initiative system, but some civilizations choose to adapt to the cold and build underground cities under the ice. 150,000 years later, artificial intelligence will completely surpass human wisdom, but it will not enslave humans. At this time, they are mainly responsible for maintaining global infrastructure and new technologies. 220,000 years later, the earthquake will be completely transformed by humans, and the movement of blocks will be converted into energy through geological release technology. 450,000 years later, the United Nations of the Solar Federation launched the Dyson Cloud Project. The solar system is officially entering a new civilization. 800,000 years later, the human genome will be merged with the genome of all species of the Earth, and the backup will be stored in the base at the bottom of the third ice layer. 1.2 million years later, the first batch of sublight-speed spacecraft will depart. They will have millions of frozen embryos and digital consciousness copies to go to the Beeline star. 3 million years later, humans received the first batch of star records. At this time, the Beeline star colony was successfully established. According to the message, a microcosm was discovered. Humans are no longer the intelligent life of a single planet. 8 million years later, the Earth's population shrank sharply. Most humans moved to a space city or an alien planet. Only some residents chose to stay on Earth to live. At this time, the agricultural area has become barren, and the city has been gradually abandoned. 12 million years later, consciousness upload technology has been completed. Humans can switch bodies like installing software. The body is no longer the basis of existence. 2.5 million years later, the Earth was designated as a remote biological reserve. Except for research and maintenance, large-scale industrial activities are prohibited. At this time, the Sahara Desert has become a grassland again, and the rainforest is expanding northward. 40 million years later, humans launched a plan to reorganize life. Using synthetic biology, many extinct species have been resurrected, gradually fill in the intermittent chain of evolution since the new generation. Creatures such as mammoths reappear. 70 million years later, some human civilizations completely abandoned the physical form. They live in the star energy field with a pure heart. The Earth has become a place for young people to experience physical life. 1.2 billion years later, the sun's brightness has increased by about 1%. The Earth has entered the critical point of the greenhouse effect. The last large-scale species gene backup has been completed. 1.5 billion years later, the average temperature on the surface of the Earth has risen to 75 degrees Celsius. The ocean is boiling, and the surface is dry. The last group of residents left the Earth's orbit and went to 2A6, or Oort Cloud Occupy Station. 2.5 billion years later, the Pangku continent was formed again. The US and European continents collided again, but now there are no human cities on the continent, only red sands that have been recombined by high temperature. In the 5.1 billion years later, the sun's brightness has increased by about 10%. The level of carbon dioxide concentration, and plants that can't survive. The Earth's light and nuclear system has collapsed. There are only extreme global warming. 8.1 billion years later, the Earth's ocean has completely evaporated. The temperature on the surface of the equator has reached 150 degrees Celsius. The Geological Bureau of the Earth has suspended the Cabo Belt. The last time, a drone landed and retrieved the last geological record chip under the Antarctic ice layer. 11 billion years later, the sun's brightness has increased by 15%. The atmosphere on the Earth has become thinner. After the water vaporization, the climate has dissipated. The Earth will lose the ocean forever. However, the human civilization at this time has long been scattered all over the galaxy. At this time, the Earth has officially become a witness to the glory of human civilization.